Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. Second time today. Nice to see you all. A little evening stream for you. If you guys are in the UK, if you're somewhere else in the world, then I hope you're having a nice start to your Monday or maybe an afternoon if you're on the west side of the world. Either way, smash the like button, smash the subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop some comments, let us know your thoughts, and be as creative as you like with where we go from here as Tottenham Hotspur just recorded their 20th, is it? No, 19th league defeat of the year. I've had a little rumble through Twitter and bookmarked some posts because the pessimism, the frustration, the anger is palpable, as always, on Twitter with everything. It is a bad moment in Tottenham Hotspur's history. It's represented in its worst format on Twitter. But we have got some interesting takes on there that I want to share with you. And we've got Spurs fan Johnny Boy from ex-Cheese Room fame. Now, lads, it's Tottenham podcast. How are you, John? Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, I do still do the Cheese Room audio podcast, which is separate. And the lads, It's Tottenham was the Cheese Room channel, but we sort of split the two up just for brand identification, basically. Yeah, I'm all right. As I just said to you, my wife went up to support the London Marathon. We had loads of runners from down here going on that. So I've had the dog all day. He's barking out there. Dog all day and the kids all day. So I haven't stopped. I'm shattered. And Spurs put such a great performance on for all of us. Really topped it up.
Mate, I don't even know where to start, buddy. I mean, 5-1. It started well, right? We came out of the traps a little bit hungry, a little bit hotter than we usually do. Scored the first goal. It was in the local pub, even though it was entirely dominated by Liverpool fans. There was hundreds of people there, and I was the only Tottenham fan in there. I was there with my mum and her friend for her mum's birthday. And right, okay. I thought that there'd be some sort of some element of Tottenham in there, some element of, or even the City game. The City game wasn't even showed. The FA Cup showing the FA Cup game wasn't. It was all about Liverpool, and yeah, it was unbearable really to watch these scenes, to watch Mo Salah have the time and the audacity, the temerity to actually sit there and take a fan cam, do a fan meet and greet mid-match, to see Ange, kicking the turf, to see Tottenham players that you'd hope would be fighting for their chance to be playing in the Europa League game, which is obviously far more important. Look, I titled the video "Unacceptable but Entirely Predictable," John. I thought the result was going to be entirely predictable. I'm not surprised, and I'm not even that upset. Like the fury that I see everywhere else, and we'll go through some of these examples in a second, but I'm not I don't share it because I think that there's bigger fish to fry. Dare I say that horrible pun? I hate using that phrase. But where do you sit, mate? Where do you sit on an effort like that as you go into the biggest week in Tottenham Hotspur's relatively recent history over the last 5 years? Does a performance like that take the wind out of any momentum, any sails, or is it just irrelevant? Is it dismissible? Is it forgettable? We've got to talk about Maddison's comments as well, which really pissed me off. Where do you sit, mate, on that whole, what we saw, not the scoreline, not the fact that we lost, but the effort, the performance? How do you sort of digest it? Oh, he's frozen.
Okay, so we start rolling back. I always am I there? Am I there?
Yeah, you're here. You're here.
Okay, you keep freezing for me. I don't know if it's me or you. Before you start, on LTL Cockerell's prediction show Friday, I predicted. I thought. there you go. I thought we get smashed on Friday. On Friday on LTL Cockerell's prediction show, I thought we get smashed 4-1. I didn't expect performance. The team comes out, you look at it and you think he's made changes. Everyone wants to see Gray there, but hold on. Archie Gray's been put in midfield in the 6th role for the toughest game of the season, effectively. And I just didn't expect anything today. However, when you see the same old crap happening, high line against a team like Liverpool, stupid mistakes, playing around at the back, that's what drives you nuts. And that comes from the manager, ultimately. You've got the backup centre-backs playing. You see already the players know that all our minds are on Thursday. We know that. They know that. So they're never going to be 100% at it. And it's Liverpool's Lord Mayor's show, isn't it? So from the off, we were backs against the wall, and it was just a matter of time before they were going to smash us. And it's frustrating, and I hated every minute of it. But like you said, entirely predictable. And I mean, is there anyone in the comments who can tell me they thought we'd get anything out today? Because
Well, actually,
I'd be amazed.
I think PH Family said in the stream this morning. I think he said that he thinks he's got a gut instinct that we're going to win. Never trust your gut again, PH Family. Never trust your gut against me. And you probably like PH normal, right?
Yeah.
You try to be in balance.
Acid.
Like PH 7. You're not 7, mate. You're acid. You're acid, bro. Go and get some alkaline in your system. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree, mate. Like, you know, I thought it was like the scoreline I was expecting. Well, actually, I said 4-0. The performance is where my frustrations lie. I don't mind the fact that he rotated. I don't mind it. He's throwing in Archie, of all of the games to throw Archie Gray into the 6. I don't know what he was trying to achieve out of that. Like, is it one of those like throw him into the deep end and let's see if he can sink or swim? Was it a, you know, F you to the fans who said you've dropped Archie Gray after putting in a good shift? Or was it, I mean, I don't know why like Bissouma didn't get minutes in that game. Bissouma's more, you know, it's for me, it's the worst possible environment for a young guy.
Bissouma's done, mate. He's not even put him on the pitch today.
Yeah.
He's absolutely done. He wasn't put on the pitch today. So clearly he's never playing again.
Yeah.
Is he?
That's fine.
Was he injured?
That's fine. Who, sorry?
Bentancur. Where was he today?
Well, I'm guessing he's rested. I'm guessing he was just rested for the game on Thursday, right? So obviously we know the pecking order in the midfield, but I don't really understand what he was trying to achieve with Archie Gray. And for what it's worth, I will say this: if you're old enough to be in the first team, then you have to be judged relative to other players in the first team. Same for Micky Moore, same for Lucas Berghvall, and same for anyone that's young enough. Right? If you're good enough, you're old enough, but then you get judged on your merit. And I feel for Archie Gray, but for what it's worth, I'm not judging him necessarily on the midfield getting overran during that game. In isolation, the second goal was incredibly poor defending from him. Incredibly poor. The way he just got walked past. He was jogging out from the back in the box. And then I forget who it was who pinched the ball off him. But that's just Gravenberch, was it? Yeah, Gravenberch. Yeah, just sloppy. He was sloppy for the first goal, sloppy for the second goal. Wasn't concentrating. Not something that I would what I would ascribe to what I've seen from Archie Gray in the centre back role. But I really hope it was just a really bad day for him, and that's not a demonstration of, you know, of Ange's way of saying, "See, you keep having a crack at me." Because he reacts to everyone, even though he says he doesn't care. He reacts to everything and everyone in a variety of ways. I think maybe you go back to that back 45 minutes against Everton. That was a demonstration of saying, see, now can I please get on with my way of doing things? Even though later on we find out that he's saying, well, we don't train anymore, so therefore the injuries aren't my fault. But in so doing, you're also opening up to questioning around, well, why is it that we're changing our formation to a back 3 for 45 minutes and then shelving it? Is this just some sort of dark arts methodology from Ange to justify his own prior decision making around Archie Gray in the 6 by throwing him into the deep end and then asking Maddison to be the guy who doesn't get back, who works hard without the ball in the final third, but doesn't really get back and support Udogie, and then the same on the other side with Odebear. We haven't seen him and Johnson. You can pick your poison in terms of defensive support there. Was it just like a ridiculously nasty, or not nasty, not saying like that, but like a harsh experiment for Archie, or was it some sort of manipulation to be able to prove a point that we need to kind of digest here? Am I giving him too much credit for that, or is that fair? Do you think?
There was a cynical part of me that did wonder if he'd done it almost because there's been calls for him to be played so much, but then Ange keeps telling us he ignores all the noise. Maybe it's clear Bissouma's well out of the picture. He's going in the summer. I mean, Ange is going in the summer, but Bissouma's not getting any game time now at all, is he? So I think, Archie's the next in line, and that game will do Archie Gray a lot of good in the long scheme of things. Yes, he didn't have a great game today, but it will. He's clearly a young lad who learns. He's very bright when you listen to him. I've heard the interviews with him when he talks about when he's looked at, if he's had a bad game, he talks to his dad, he reflects and he improves. And I think during games I've seen him when he's playing centre back, he's adapted. So Ipswich away, he was getting absolutely rinsed by Delap in the first 15 minutes, but he grew and grew and grew. And I think he's going to be a really good player for us. And young players have bad games. Now, unfortunately, I don't think Berghvall had a great game either. Maddison didn't have a particularly good game. So that was probably the wrong midfield chemistry dynamic, but we are a bit limited. Sarr's fallen off a cliff. He's all arms and legs, but he's offering very little of quality at the moment. Bissouma's just been terrible for a while. And as I
So
said,
did you say
he's been
Sarr limped off the pitch, did you say?
No. He's fallen off a cliff.
I've fallen off the cliff, so I thought you say he limped off the pitch. I was like, fuck.
He might be better if he limped.
What do you make of Sarr, mate? Do you I mean, I know you just said he's fallen off the cliff. What's that down to? Is that down to, you know, like as the Ange experiment has gone on, he's lost interest in it, lost faith in it, or he's just been exposed as not having the minerals to play what's needed out of a secondary 8. He doesn't have enough tenacity and doesn't have enough fight. He supports a system that offers a little bit more space in the midfield, but doesn't have the kind of A, B's and C's of what we need from that kind of that box-to-box role. Why do you think that he's gone from such an exciting player last season and the season before into what we've seen recently, which is just like, you know, to me, I think I'd have him on the list of potential sellable assets in the summer.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's down to injuries, to be honest. I think if you listen to most ex-pros, they all say they've played most of their careers with injuries, but injuries do affect you. You have to adapt your game. And he's obviously a very physical player. He's never been the best on the ball. He's been okay. You know, his game is about breaking it up, pass it to someone else, or try and move forward. And I just wonder, I remember the only game I've been to this season was Ipswich at home when we were obviously terrible. But he was probably one of our better players that day. And he got kicked off the pitch and ended up limping round the South Stand because he was substitute when he was injured. And I just wonder if he's never really recovered from all these knocks, because he was performing better a while ago, but he's giving us very little as far as I can see. He scored that very good goal at Brentford, but I can't think of anything else that he does. We've seen him in the past. Was it Bournemouth last season? He scored the goal from the edge of the box where he drove forward. I can't remember if it was that. And he looked a really good player, but
yeah, he did. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. A number of our players have gone backwards, haven't they? That's clearly, and I don't know whether it's the number of games, the coaching methods. I think I heard someone told me a story. An ex-player had been talking to them about what goes on at the club, and said most clubs, players will have a coach who is their mentor, and a coach will have 5 or 6 players, and they're the mentor that they go to. Apparently, that doesn't happen at Spurs. So the coaching team aren't assigned. Now, you'd hope that naturally a lot of these coaches would do that, but from the sounds of it, it isn't happening. So you've got players
how can you mentor like Ryan Mason was like? There's not even. Who is the coaching staff? It's Ryan Mason. Is it Jedinak still?
Matt Wells is the assistant manager.
Yeah,
and then you've got the guys that came from Hibernian. What isn't one a Spanish fella? And the Scottish fella? It's quite a big squad. I've actually almost given up trying to follow because we have so many managers, so many different coaching staff. To a certain degree, I've sort of forgotten who they all are. But
none of them scream to me like no. I don't know. Like Poch's assistant was he had a great relationship with the players, right? He had a fantastic relationship. You think back, you had Conte's number 2 became the manager. My mind's gone blank, so I've had a couple of drinks with lunch. Stellini, that was it. Yeah, like he had a decent relationship. Like most of the time, most of the managers that are successful you go back to like Jim Jordan's, that's those sorts of guys. Like there's strong, powerful relationships with the players and strong, powerful personalities. And I can't imagine I'd have a conversation with, no disrespect, but I can't imagine I'd have a conversation with Ryan Mason and feel like, you know, not intimidated. Like if he gave me a dressing down, I feel like it would be a little bit watery. And I just don't think that there's enough oomph from there. And the fact that this guy comes in with his own specific way of playing and then doesn't bring his own team with him that knows what he wants and can disseminate it quickly and immediately, he's got to disseminate it to the coaching staff who then go and disseminate it to the players. It's Chinese whispers almost. And I think it's problematic. And to me, it screams of like a guy who's used to a lack of resources to work with that makes it work. And I just think that he's kind of at this level, the whole thing needs more polish, and it doesn't feel like it's anywhere near well-rounded enough. It's almost like it's like a winging it kind of thing. You know, does that make sense? Like it just I don't have any confidence in the process, the preparation, the template. I don't feel like it's something that's been like packaged up and just ready to go. It's something that is kind of like, oh, I'll figure out a way because I'm a good spin doctor. I'm a good salesman. I'll figure out a way to make it work at Tottenham, like I did at Celtic, like I did in Japan, like I did in Australia. And I think that stuff at this level just isn't really going to fly and hasn't flown really since the get-go, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Drew's put up about Chris Davis. He's obviously gone to Birmingham as manager and done really well there. I do think Ange has to have a good team underneath him who get his philosophy. But before he joined, we were told he doesn't spend much time speaking to players individually, but doesn't even spend much time speaking to his coaches individually, which does seem strange for someone that so stands back on the the training pitch. Harry Redknapp wasn't really on the training pitch. That's what he had Kevin Bond and Joe Jordan for, but they knew what he wanted because they'd worked together for years. I mean, Ferguson, he wouldn't be on the pitch, but he had Carlos Queiroz, he had Steve McLaren, who wasn't a great manager, but a top coach.
I was going to say
Thought of.
Carlos Queiroz, perfect example, right? Perfect example.
Yeah.
Just a guy who sits in the background, not necessarily always visible, but you know that he's the guy who kind of glues things together when Alex Ferguson is doing other bigger picture stuff or whatever he's off doing, you know. And you're right, and also Steve McLaren as well. You know, great example of a right-hand man. It doesn't feel like Ange has a right-hand man, and I think that's also why he cuts such a lonely figure sometimes when he's on the sideline. You know, and don't get me wrong, I think that the players have done a good job, at least some of them, coming out in the moments that we've seen from them in various interviews. I showed on the screen this morning. You know, Vicario being the latest in a long line of players that have, when given the opportunity, that have backed the manager and backed the process and stuff. And I think that, as I said earlier, I think that is some way recognizing or like an appreciation of the fact that he takes a lot of this stuff on the chin and kind of wears that shield. And that's great. It's nice, right? It's nice to see that. It's nice team camaraderie. But at the end of the day, ultimately, where the rubber meets the road is, you know, is the team set up and structurally organized enough to be judged on the quality of the squad? Is the quality of the squad represented accurately by our position in the league? And to me, the answer is violently no. Right, like our back 6 or 7 players that we have is far better. It's far better. We've got a far better defense on paper than Fulham, a far better defense on paper than West Ham, than Man United, than Crystal Palace, than Wolves, than Nottingham Forest. Maybe not Nottingham Forest, but again, Nottingham Forest are playing above themselves because they've got a manager that plays to their strengths. We have a manager that asks people to play to his system that doesn't really feel like that it's that well polished. I don't know if I'll get your take on that. But I'll get your take on that, and then I'll come to Blaine's super chat. So I'm a little bit all over the place.
So, no, I think you're absolutely spot on, mate. I just, if you think interesting, if you think back to Conte, where did it sort of go wrong for Conte? It was the summer, wasn't it? We had a really great first season. That run at the end of the season after we brought Bentancur and Kulusevski and went really well. The beginning of next season, we were winning, but not convincing. And then I've forgotten his name, his fitness coach passed away, didn't he? Just after we beat Leicester 6-2.
Yeah.
And his name's escaped me now. But after that, it just like a bit of an older brother to Conte. And that's where sort of Conte started losing it more and more. And I know he's got a history of that. But you just wonder, maybe losing Chris Davis, although again, last season, we limped over the line to 5th, didn't we? And how Spurs is it that we get 5th and we don't get Champions League, and this season the team in 5th is guaranteed to get it, just as what seems to happen to us. But as far as Ange goes, I don't think the way he works is going to work in the Premier League unless you have untold riches and you can bring in the size of squad you want. It worked in previous leagues. I think he'd probably struggle in the Liga and Serie A and even the Bundesliga based on what he's trying to do. What worries me is the one thing he said a couple of weeks ago was it surprised them the toll the Europa League had taken on them this season, the extra 2 games.
Well, last season he was moaning about the lack of games.
Yeah.
That was an excuse. Last season it was, well, we're not playing enough games. You're only playing one game every week. The exits from the cups, it's not good enough for continuity, for consistency, for the kind of that momentum. This season, well, we probably took the additional toll of the additional. Like, what are we doing here? Well, are we all morons? Like, we can't all be bullshit. Like, you can't bullshit a bullshit artist, and I am a bullshit artist, and I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I like the guy. I wish him well. I really hope that it doesn't affect us on Thursday. But this is just, like I say, forget today in isolation because it's Liverpool. But even then, mate, we've got to play them next season twice in the league, right? We've got to play Arsenal twice. We are so far wildly behind them in not just the quality, but the preparedness. It looks to me like we are. I don't know how to. I'm trying to find the words to be able to summarize it in like a snapshot. But the whole thing feels to me like everybody else has 24 hours in the day, and it feels like we have about 24 minutes worth of time because they are 10 times more. Every team, not just Liverpool, but every team seems to find the time to compete on two fronts generally, or multiple fronts. They find the time to prepare themselves for multiple styles of football. They find the time to recover. They find the time to do the SWOT analysis of the opposition, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats, and then to create and craft a game plan between the manager and the coaches that can then be disseminated to the team, and the team are all paying attention, can hear it and go, okay, so against Nottingham Forest, I've got to do this. Against Liverpool, I've got to do that. And some of the teams are going to struggle naturally because that's just, everyone's got to finish wherever they finish. But generally speaking, the only teams that look as bad as us in terms of preparedness and depth, like are you in the depth or not at the Premier League level? The only teams that look as bad are the three teams that have gone down.
Yeah. The only reason West Ham are 1 point below us is because they started off with the wrong manager. And now Potter's there. They're not winning every game. Obviously, they threw away a lead yesterday, but they will get better under Potter. He'll be given time to grow it, and they're going to get better. We are not going to get. I don't see us getting better if we were to keep Ange. But like I said to you Saturday last week, I think he's gone. And then obviously, was it Ornstein came out on Monday or Tuesday and said the vibe is he's definitely gone.
Yeah, it was weird though because what he said was, I know. Ornstein is someone that you obviously lean into a bit more than others. But what he said was he's definitely gone, although if that is subject to change if we win the Europa League. And in so doing that, when you hear the second half of the quote, or even I'm paraphrasing it, but he basically inferred that, didn't infer, he said that there is, if we win the Europa League, then that may change, right? And in so saying that whole thing, then really you're not saying anything because we can all assume that if we don't win the Europa League, then it's it doesn't matter whether you get to two semi-finals. If you don't lift the trophy, then it's the worst season ever. It's unacceptable. It's only even a consideration and a contemplation of whether you keep him or otherwise if he wins the Europa League. And I still maintain in my mind, just being consistent and fair, that if he does do that Europa League, then he is the most successful. If the line in the sand of success and failure is a season with the trophy is success, a season without is not, is failure. That overly simplistic Ligue 1 methodology of how to evaluate football. If that's what we're doing here, then that is a very successful season for Tottenham, and the league form is irrelevant. And therefore, on that basis, you can't sack him. However, I'd be more than happy for him to. I'd probably prefer it if he lifted the trophy and then said thank you, but I'm off because I don't want to be a part of this anymore. That would be the perfect world, right? Where he says I've had enough and walks away. Termination, mutual termination. You give him half of next year's contract so that everyone's a winner. But I don't know if he would want to do that. Before I get your answer on that one, mate, because I promise I forgot to come back to this one. Thank you so much, Blaine. Massively generous of you, mate. It's a really nice little way to finish a fantastically average day for Tottenham. Just in case the old dear who's having a kip in the other room is listening, it was a fantastic day. But thank you so much for the super chat, guys. If you are one of the lucky recipients, there's 10 of you, mate. That's so nice for you, Blaine. Really appreciate it, mate. There are 10 of you, guys. I am going to be doing. I always say this, and I always fail to follow through, but I promise you, this week I will be doing a members fan phone-in show. So if you are one of those 10, then I hope to meet you on that one. And please make sure you say thank you to Blaine. Thank you, Blaine. Really appreciate you. Moondog also coming in saying, sometimes you need to hold your hands up and say, I'm out of my depth and walk. Ange needs to do this. We cannot have another season like this. I hope so, but he's never going to do it. He's a very proud man. And, he's using the stonecutter analogy, right? Which, by the way, that stonecutter analogy is amazingly figured out from a very clever wordsmith, because it basically buys him an indeterminate amount of time. It doesn't matter how long you go into the future failing, he can always lean into that analogy and say, well, we're not at the 101st hit yet, right? So he could be 4 or 5 years down the line, finishing 17th for the next 3 seasons, and he could still lean into that analogy. It's a very clever analogy that he's figured out there that can always say it's the game before the game, or it's the next one. It's the next one. We're just not there yet. And analogies can be manipulated by smart people to create, patience or wiggle room. But what do you think, mate? Do you think that? Let me ask this: is there any chance? Is there any, even no matter how small, is there any chance at all that Daniel Levy might say, this is too big of a deal, too big of a moment? Like, the league is so bad, the performances are so bad that I'll roll the dice and cut him loose now, ahead of, or between now and no,
not a chance in hell.
What about if we got to the final? Because there's a 2-week break. He did do it for Mourinho. Could he do it for Ange?
I was told the reason Mourinho went was because we played Brighton or Southampton, I think, in the week before. And Levy, supposedly, this is the story, wanted to win. And Harry Kane had been injured. He got injured at Everton in a 2-2 draw a couple of weeks before. And I think he might have played a bit of the weekend. And Levy wanted him rested. And Mourinho was going to play him in the league game. And he wanted him rested for the cup final. Now, and then we had the Super League. So some people sort of think, was it because of the Super League? Is that why they got rid of Mourinho? But there was disagreements. Basically, Mourinho and Levy had a big argument, is from the sounds of it, and that's why he left. And then we did beat Southampton 2-1, and Kane wasn't in the squad. So so that did tie up a little bit with what I was told. This was a year or so later I was told this. But Mourinho should have gone probably after the 3-0 away in Zagreb. We got smashed by City, and he was at 3-0 as well. You remember when Davinson Sanchez fell over backwards trying to head the ball, and Gundogan went through and scored?
Yeah.
And he came out and said, I think supposedly he lost the players at halftime. He said, "Oh, you've done well to only be 1-0 down at halftime," and the players just like, "Are you kidding me?" And he had the sort of attitude that, "Oh, well done, you're only 1-0 down. Yeah, you've done really well." And I think some of these managers have to be careful what they say. And I don't know what the gig is with Mourinho really, but we were hearing stories that basically he just works on defensive shape and tells the strikers to go and do what they do. Whereas Conte supposedly worked more on the whole structure. But if it wasn't for Kane and Son, both those managers would have gone along to a lot earlier. Now, Ange hasn't had Kane and he hasn't had a prime Son, partially because Kane wasn't there, as well as Son's age. But Ange...
That's interesting. Okay, so you're saying you take away Kane, and with it, you take away prime Son. Like, if Kane left 5 years ago, then Sonny's not as good 4 years ago and 3 years ago either, right?
He'd still be a good player. He's not going to be as good, is he? Because how many goals did Harry Kane create for Son?
Yeah, basically most of them.
Yeah, if he was playing,
Sonny scored were through Harry Kane, right?
Yeah, if Son played with De Bruyne, would have scored loads as well. But
so, do you think Harry Kane in this team right now? Where does Tottenham finish?
Oh, probably at least 6-7 places higher than we are now. Where are we? 16th. We're
mid-table though.
We're definitely mid-table at least.
Yeah, but not challenging at the top. Not Aston Villa, not Newcastle, not Nottingham Forest levels.
Probably not, because of the way we play. Because of the stupid mistakes we make. I mean, today, Vicario, he loves to flap his arms and blame everyone. Bloody hell is he doing with the ball at his feet? Passing it 2 yards to a player when he's getting closed down by Mo Salah, or chipping it to midfield when he's no in it. I don't understand. Lloris was terrible with his feet. How can goalkeepers not get better at chipping the ball 30 yards? Surely they practice
Vicario's
this.
confidence looks with the ball at his feet looks like so bad. It
Yeah.
looks so bad. It looks as bad as when not quite as bad, but when Fraser Forster started out his shift and did that 7-game run or whatever when he was like player of the month and all that. I think whenever it was December time,
Yeah.
and then suddenly it went wrong, and then it went really wrong. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's that bad, but Vicario looks a shell of the guy that he was not that long ago. Not that long ago, you
Yeah.
know, like in the post Kinsky kind of experiment thing, and it's worrying. It's worrying because I don't know what level Bodo Glimt are. Like I say, Daniel Levy. This what's happening on Thursday night is so important because the following Thursday could be a shit show if next Thursday is an absolute if it's a disappointment. I think we need 2-0 or 3-1. We need a 2-goal lead minimum, but even then I won't be happy. 3-goal lead and I'm slightly uncomfortable. 4 goals and I think we're done. I think we're fine. But if it's 2-0, I'm not going there.
Squeaky bum time.
Squeaky bum time for sure. For sure. Because their big three are back for that game, for the second leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. You know. But
so where are you flying to?
Straight to Bodo, mate. Yeah, and the stadium's like the stadium. I'm flying from Luton. I've never been from Luton before, but yeah,
Okay.
straight into Bodo, and then the stadium's a 10-minute walk apparently.
Okay.
So exciting! It's exciting. I don't know what I'm rooting for. Like, you know what? After a game like today, I was saying yesterday, I think it was. I don't really want it to be like 6-0 going or 5-0. Not that I think we'll be there, but even in that sort of, if you had the option, do I want there to be any risk at all for the Bodo game? And I was like, yeah, I do want some like dogma, some sort of plight. I do want some risk so that I can justify the cost. Otherwise, you're just going there for a party, which I'm more than happy to do anyway. But now, after what I saw today, I'm like, actually, just get the job done on Thursday if you can. Just get it done. But do you think there's any hangover from today, mate? I haven't got the quotes in front of me, guys. So if you're watching this, there's 500 people watching, and I appreciate if you smash the like for me, smash the subscribe, and make sure you get down. John, if you can actually give me the link to your channel, I was going to say get it into the description. I haven't actually got it in the description. If you can send me your link to your channel in the private chat, I'll put it up for everyone. So James Maddison, right? I haven't got the quotes in front of me, but James Maddison came out after the show, after the game today, and was asked. And I think I spoke about this earlier on today on this morning's show. I said, there's a lot of players that are coming out at Tottenham and defending Ange, and rightfully or wrongly, why they're doing it. Is it ego? Is it, do they appreciate the fact that Ange is taking it on the chin, all that stuff? Like, he's protecting the players, whatever. Are they falling for his salesman's spiel? Whatever it is, they're coming out one by one and defending him. Maddison hasn't done that, right? Not at all of his own volition. And every time he's been asked in an interview how he feels about Tottenham, he criticises the team. He says it's not good enough, but he himself is happy with his own effort and his own performance. A bit Roadrunner-esque, right? A bit memey. And tonight, he basically came out and dismissed the fans' reaction. He basically said, the fans have got every right to be unhappy, but we've just got to ignore all that and focus on Thursday because Thursday's a big deal, which is fine. He's probably right. He's probably accurate in what he's saying, but he shouldn't be saying that. There's the public persona and the private persona. Internally, yeah, whatever. Say what you want to say to make yourself sleep at night with your teammates. Do whatever you've got to do to get up for Thursday. But to come out publicly and say the fans will be angry, but fuck them. We got a bigger deal. I didn't like it. He's a vice captain. He hasn't supported Ange as much as everybody else has, which again, no problem. We don't want to do it, but everything about him screams it's all about me, and I don't really give a shit about Ange. I don't really care about the team. I'll throw the team under the bus, but defend myself. I won't defend the manager. And by the way, the fans, they can think what they want. I'm not that bothered. That to me is disrespectful. It's dismissive, and it's not something that's not behavioural. It's not behaviour that I think is reminiscent of a leader of the football club, of which he's supposed to be.
I mean, footballers are in their own little world half the time, aren't they? And Maddison's one of those players that you would say has got arrogance about him. And footballers need to have arrogance. They have to, and he's probably got it more than, apart from Romero, obviously got it more than most. I just think sometimes with, we all say, Spurs themselves as a club are completely tone deaf a lot of the time, and maybe Maddison's is a bit tone deaf today. Yes, I sort of agree. We need to be focused on Thursday very much. The players know all our eggs are in that basket, and set the team up today saying all the eggs are in one basket. But you're right. He's an experienced player. He's not Archie Gray, who's 19. And if Archie Gray had been interviewed, you'd probably had a more mature, sensible answer, I guess. But what if the players are going to give that attitude? They should be refunding those 3,000 fans tickets today. They've done it. Was it Newcastle away they did it when we were 5-0 down in 20 minutes? That's what they should be doing ultimately. If that's the attitude, fine. Out of the players' bonus pot that they'll get if they win the Europa League, refund all those fans tickets, refund their travel. Do that, or just admit upset. We're not going to bother today. In which case, he might as well have played the under-21s and given them some experience. Because in some cases, they might have put a better shift in and not made so many stupid mistakes. Because some of the mistakes were just appalling.
They were. It's so bad at the back. It's so bad from the midfield. To be honest, today everything was awful today. Was there anybody? I'll get the team the stats up. Was there anybody at all in that game today that you thought can walk out with their head held high?
I mean, Solanke scored a nice goal. That was
a
nice goal.
He did score a nice goal.
You know, he's playing against two big centre backs, and
it was a fantastic header, actually. To be fair,
it was a great header, and it was quite funny because as Maddison was running up, I was like, "Oh, you're going to cock this one up again," because he seemed to have had a case of the Ericssons recently, hadn't he? He kept hitting everything near post, but it was a clear tactical decision for once. I don't know who came up with that after seeing what Newcastle did to Liverpool, maybe in the cup final. Hit it long to the far post, and we were blocking off their defenders, and he had Diaz on him for some stupid reason. I get back.
Yeah, it's odd, when you saw that, you kind of go, "What's that about?" Weird man for man marking.
I mean, when I've seen Kieran Trippier mark guys that are like 6'5" at times, and even Brennan Johnson's done it, and you think, well, Brennan Johnson is, he's weak as a kitten, isn't he? He's not going to stop a big burly centre back smashing the ball in the back of the net. So sometimes I'm a bit baffled by the way they set up.
Same. 100%.
All clubs.
100%. Completely agree.
Right. Yeah. What's it? Oh, this is the timeline. I see.
This is the kind of momentumometer or whatever you want to call it. So the timeline of who had the play, and obviously you can see just bar. That's our first goal there, which was just literally a corner. So 60 seconds there, or 2 minutes, whatever that represents. That bar. Apart from that, 1, 2, 3. These are all negligible. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 micro spells of dominance versus. I mean, that's just. Look, it is Liverpool. I get it, but at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to be like? We shouldn't just sit there and say this was Liverpool's day. They're a good team. We never win at Liverpool. Therefore, ergo, is to be expected. We have to find a way to close that gap, mate. And to be honest, today, let me get the stats. Where are they? I just thought it was. What am I doing here? Where's the stats?
It's a
So it's a minefield, this thing. What am I doing? Here we go. Stats. Bang. 37% possession, but only like 8 moments of weight. 2.14 expected goals, 0.37 for us. Big chances, 1. I think that's the one we took. 2 for them. 25 shots to 8. Most of our shots were like from distance. Passes, they obviously doubled up on us. It's just look at the amount of shots. Look at these shots, right? And how many touches there in the box as well? 1, 2, 3, 4. These aren't in touches. Sorry, these are shots. I mean, insane versus us. Yeah, I mean, it's just that was it basically. That one there, I don't remember which one. Oh Jesus! Look at that! I don't remember that one, but look where it finished.
Is that a header?
Must be a header. Yeah, it must be a header. But yeah, I mean, just not that was blocked. This one here. Yeah, look, nothing. Just that was the P roller from Sarr. It's just. I don't know, mate. Like I don't really know where to go with this. You know what I'll do now? You know what I want to do now? I want to show you this instead, actually. Let me share this tab.
I mean, like I said, mate, you've got to write off. You've basically got to write off Liverpool today because it is all about Sunday. As much as we all hated it, it was terrible. But you are right in questioning, will there be a hangover? And you just got to hope the players can scrub it from their minds. And the team will be different.
Do you think there will be? Are you confident about? I mean,
if we were away, I'd be more worried. If the fact we're back at home on Thursday, it gives me a bit more confidence. And the fact they're missing those three. Is it three or even four players?
Would
Three
you rather
players.
play home because of where we're at? Would you rather get the job done at home first leg rather than going
I think
and
so.
bringing them back
Yeah,
to Wales? Yeah.
yeah. Having seen what happened to Lazio, where apparently they could have lost 5 or 6 at Bodo. Buddha, is it
Yeah.
Burda, isn't it?
I know.
Burda.
Well, I think so. Yeah.
I think we've got, they're going to make it difficult. Apparently, they're a very high pressing team, so it'll be interesting to see if they stick to that or if they adapt and maybe do a bit more like Elfsborg and try and park the bus and make it really difficult for us. That's going to be the interesting thing because they are missing those key players. I can't admit I know a lot about them. I do know that their international marketing manager is an English guy
Oh,
because
really?
I listened to the Kieran Maguire's podcast, and they had him on there about 3 weeks ago as
Oh,
by pure
wow.
chance
Okay.
before he got joining us. And their mascot is a toothbrush. So I know the story of this. So
Nice.
they back in the 70s, there was a guy in the crowd trying to get a bit of atmosphere going. So he stood up on one of the fences or something and started conducting, and someone gave him something which almost looked like a stick or something. And then it was like, I didn't work. And then someone gave him a toothbrush and he started conducting with a toothbrush. So the
Right.
local company that makes toothbrushes made them a giant one, apparently, or a
Nice.
bigger one, a baton. So
Clever.
So they
Yeah.
gave it to him to treat, and that's
And
why.
the guy who ran that company's marketing campaign is now the English international marketing manager. Has he got such a good job, mate? Come on in. You've done so well for the tooth company.
No, this was back in the 70s. No, the English guy works there. He only moved to Norway because his girlfriend's Norwegian, and he just figured he worked in marketing in the UK, and he figured I'll find a job. And then COVID hit,
Right.
so it's like he couldn't do anything. And his girlfriend worked at the club, and so what he did was when they started having games again, he just volunteered to work as a matchday steward and did this and did that, and just sort of not
Worked
worked
his
his
way
way
up.
up, but ended up taking on more responsibilities. And they needed something. I think he ended up, when they qualified for Europe the first time, he ended up being the man to look at the UEFA rulebook and make sure they were complying with all the different things they had to do. And just he sort of works his way into the job, not
And
deliberately, but
everything, man.
yeah.
Yeah, good for him. Good for him. You know, maybe I'll meet my princess on next Thursday week, mate, and stay up there, and maybe I'll be the next CEO of Bodo Accounting or something. Who knows?
Bugsy will never forgive you.
Bugsy can come. Bugsy can come with me. So I'll come. I'll fly home to pick her up, and I'll bring her back. I want to show you some of these, and this took me 3 seconds. This is almost like the first 10 posts in my timeline, and it's not pretty, mate. So this is the sort of general
It's
vibe
not
on
like
Twitter
Brighton
tonight.
to put an anti-Levy thing up, is it?
Well, he's not the only one, mate. It's all of it. I mean, look, this is. I mean, I love Brian to pieces. I invited him on the show tonight. He's flying back to Toronto tomorrow, so he couldn't make it. But
Okay.
I think this is in no way, shape, or form going to be critical of these things. But what I would say is there is always this reaction when we lose a game. You know, if you're someone who leans Levy out, then as soon as we lose in the isolated moment, out comes the Levy out bandwagon. But when we win a game, I will be really curious to see what sort of reaction those people who have always hated him because he doesn't deliver enough trophies, what they will say, what they will do. Will there be the appropriate amount of accountability that is laid at his feet for our success, as there has been for the ongoing failures? Again, if you consider failure and success to be binary around a trophy win. So Brian says, you have sat back and allowed this to happen. You have destroyed Spurs as a football club whilst building your empire. You said we've got our Tottenham back. We haven't. You stole it from the fans in 2001, and we want it back. Nothing changes until everything changes. Another one here. Tottenham Maskey. Don't know this man. One day we will be free from this cretin. Don't give up hope. Enoch out. Manchester United. Let me. I'll come back to that one. That's interesting. I've genuinely never been more ashamed, embarrassed to be a Tottenham fan than I am right now, says Tottenham Joe. I think that was the moment he was kicking the thing. Last but than Spurs. This is from Graham Lasso, Johnny. Johnny boy. People talk about Spurs being entertaining, but for their supporters, it must be so infuriating. They're so wide open. It's 11 individuals out there instead of units of players supporting each other. Just quickly on this one, is Graham Lasso right? Is it individuals rather than a team cohesive unit?
It was both, isn't it? They're playing as individuals, yes, to a certain degree, but they're following the plan given to them by the manager. And I think, although players seem to be backing Ange, I do think they're disillusioned. When there was Was it RZ away when Son and Maddison were taken off and they were on the bench, and you could see, and the people lip read what Maddison said, didn't they? And they said
Yeah.
that and Maddison going, it's the same thing every
Same
week.
every
And
week.
it is the same thing. We can all see it. And we thought, it will improve year 2. It's supposed to be much better. And it's just got worse and worse and worse. Nothing seems to be improving. If there was signs that things were improving, we'd be but there'd be a lot more of us being going, okay, we're on board. But the only good performance we had recently with Frankfurt was when we went back to let's kick it out. Let's be sensible, be more pragmatic, which he obviously changed his tactics. So he went against his own beliefs, I'd say, because he was always saying, that's what I do. There was another play. Oh dear, hamstrings. As Ange been giving advice to Buddha on how to train the
That's
players.
good news, mate. That's good news. That's good news. If
Yeah.
that's the starting centre back, then sensational. They've got no
I did
excuse.
see they played a cup game in the week, and this 16-year-old scored a hat trick. I saw.
Really?
Thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he changed quite a lot of players. They're probably playing like a Norwegian 3rd division team or something that we'll never hear of.
Has their season just started, or has their season just finished?
Yeah, they've played like 4 games.
Right.
So they're fresh. They've had their winter break. They even had to play the last 2 group games while they're in their winter break, effectively, or they were in their pre-season.
Yeah. Okay.
So they'll be well up for this. This is not going to be an easy game, but what we need is a couple of early goals, and then try and open them up, and then see what happens. Because then the crowd will get behind us. That's the thing. If the longer it stays 0-0, the crowd will get edgy, and then that will get to the players. Which it's difficult because when you're fed up,
they're going to sit in, right? You know that they're going to. I'd imagine. Although I heard the manager's football was described as kamikaze, but I can't imagine he'd be as foolish as to come to Tottenham and to try to play at us.
Is he Ange? Is that what you're saying?
He must have a bit of not stones about him, and he must know enough about Tottenham to know how to beat us. Is to sit in deep, dig deep, protect, and then break if you can. Now, I don't know what the injuries are going to do for his ability to do that, but ultimately, if he comes to Tottenham and plays kamikaze football, he's playing into our hands, right? He doesn't want an open game. We want an open game, but he doesn't want an open game, does he?
Well, from what I heard, and I don't know much about them, they do play quite high pressing, similar to Ange.
Yeah,
style of football. But I think you're right. I think it's a 2-legged game. You've got to play the tie, not the individual match so much. So they'll be wanting to get away from Spurs without, losing 4-0. They'll be trying to stay in the tie. So yeah, they beat KFUM Oslo 3-0 today. And Bjørtuft was taken off. So
right.
I'm guessing he's the centre back. He was ranking. It was Flash Score's giving him an 8.0 rating today as well. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens. It's really hard to know with these. It's the great thing about these European competitions. If you're not in the Champions League, you get to sort of see more of these teams that you've never really heard of. As we know, Ange has lost to Bodo Glimt before, so he knows what he's walking into. So he's really got no excuse for not having a plan. But
he's had no excuse for a lot of things this season, yet he's found them.
2 seasons we've not really seen a plan against.
He's always found the excuses, mate. To be honest,
his plan is to be better. That's his plan, pretty much, isn't it?
We're not at the 101st hit yet, mate. We're not. We're only on the 90th hit, mate. Listen. I mean, look at these scenes from Liverpool. I put these in the bookmarks because this is what we could have, right? In 4 weeks' time, we could have this. It's so important, mate. It couldn't be more important to be like just looking at that, looking at this. This is before the game. This is the game, right? They knew it was inevitable because they had Tottenham, but this is just it's just like it's a wonderful thing. And seeing those celebrations today, as we did after the game, I had to sit there and listen to the entire pub, hundreds of people like singing their songs. And I hate Liverpool. I hate Liverpool almost as much as I hate Chelsea and Arsenal. I've got no time for their fans. I've got no time for them. I can't stand their victimhood all the time, right? Then the fact that they get the rub all the time. Can't stand any of that stuff. But they deserve the league. They're the best team in the league by a mile. And I want some of what I saw today. I want to feel what they felt today, and I want that in a month's time. And if we don't get there, mate, it is I've said it 1,000 times. It's a sliding doors moment for the football club because everything changes, right? There's other teams that are stepping up. Look at that league. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th are all within a shout of Champions League football. 3 of those teams are not common names in the Champions League football echelons, and therefore they are going to have budgets. If they are of the 3 teams that can qualify, they're going to have budgets that they're not used to spending, and they have got a track record of spending their money very well, like in Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, and Newcastle. They have that money. Then they can do things. If Tottenham don't do it, and if Manchester United don't do it, whichever one of those 2 teams or both don't win the Europa League, we could both be left behind. There's a changing of the guards thing happening here with regards to the traditional top 6, and one of Tottenham and United have to win that Europa League, and the team that doesn't, or if both of them don't, and it's Bilbao's or Bodo's, then I think you can probably say that United and Tottenham are going to really struggle for the future couple of years. And then all eggs go into the basket of out these youth players. And on today's performance, wasn't one to give you confidence that the gap is going to close anytime soon unless these players really step up. Even Lucas Berghvall, who I've got absolute all the time in the world for, I thought he was shocking today. I thought everyone was shocking.
He didn't. No, he had a poor game. They all had a poor game. You're right. And ultimately, and as I said, one-off games, sometimes you've just got to ride off and move on because their heads are all on Thursday. Now, I've got a couple of questions to ask. Maybe for the chat, we could do your 1-0 thing if you want.
Yeah, go on, do the 1s and 0s game, yeah.
Who's had a better season? And I'm going to use the Gooners, right? They're going to finish second, aren't they?
Yeah.
If us or Manchester United win us or Manchester United, say we win the Europa League, who's had a better season? Us or the Gooners?
Interesting. 1 Tottenham, 0 Arsenal, on the presumption that Arsenal finish second and don't win the Champions League, and that Tottenham finish 16th or 17th and win the Europa League. 1 if Tottenham have had a better season, 0 if Arsenal have had a better season. Oh, sorry. More satisfying.
0 for Arsenal,
or whatever how you want to call it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't in my head accept that they might win the Champions League. I've blocked that from my mind.
They ain't winning the Champions League. They ain't winning the Champions League. But if they do win the Champions League, I'm buying tickets to Udogie for the best North London derby ever in the Super Cup. Can't wait for that. It's going to be amazing. That would be.
Those Italian police will be out with their truncheons, mate. You don't want to be anywhere near that.
Yeah, it'd be danger, wouldn't it? There'd be trouble galore in there. Imagine Udogie in the town centre as Tottenham and Arsenal fans just are allowed to drink together.
Mate, all the Italian clubs will be there. They're all there.
They'll be there to smash us up as well. Yeah,
Lazio, all of them. It'll be absolute carnage.
We got 1-0, 1-0. It's like a game of binary. 0-0, 1-1. Even Stevens so far. 0 for Paddy. 1. It's still even. This is literally 50-50. Slight edge for Tottenham. Back it comes to it's Tottenham. That is a slight win for Tottenham Hotspur in the this is obviously harking back to a season with the trophy of success, a season without it is failure. What's the second question you want to ask, my man?
Okay, second question is it worse to lose in the semi-final or the final?
Ooh.
So should we go? Final, right? Should we go 3 for semi-final, 4 for final?
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So 1 is Tottenham, 0 is Arsenal, 3 is semi-final, 4 is the final. Or just say semi or final if you want. There you go. People can write it in.
Yeah.
I don't want to limit you to just 1s and 0s or 3s and 4s. It's fine. It's worse to lose in the semi. Yeah. Final.
Too many jokes.
Pause. Look, I think getting to the semi-final and then losing is forgettable. Like, no one's going to remember Tottenham losing to Liverpool over 2 legs, right? But you might remember getting to the final and then beating or losing to Newcastle. I think that the final is more memorable. Had we lost to Ajax that night, would people still talk about 2019?
Probably not, no. Well, no, because obviously it was a great night, wasn't it? Particularly, I mean, the night the Etihad was a great night, but the Ajax game was made memorable because of the way it happened. We were 3-0 down on aggregate, and we then scored and Lucas Moura scored a hat trick. There's so many things that combined together, and it was on the back of Liverpool being 3-0 down against Barcelona and winning 4-0 the night before against a team with Messi in it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you think though? See, for me, I look back at that Champions League. I've said this many times as well. I still maintain it was the worst thing that could have happened to Tottenham Hotspur is getting to the final of the Champions League and not winning it. Obviously, winning it is again sliding doors, but getting to the final and not winning it because it fundamentally reset expectations of the fan base towards now we're a team that's competing. Now you have to go again at a time when we didn't have the money to do it, and then forever, and then it's been a backward step, right? And that was a leap. We didn't really deserve to be at the final. We weren't the second best team in European football. All those things, we just, it was a little bit of fortune, a lot of the team and Pochettino, everything was sort of got together and it was almost that special moment. But when it wasn't, and then you didn't have the money behind you to go again because of the debt and all those things, it was just, it was problematic. And I think that part of the problems that have followed is impatience in the method because of the isolated moment that everyone thought was the new norm. Like we reset expectations to go, that's where we are now, live up to it. When we weren't, we were really still here. And we punched up. We weren't that far behind it. We were on the back of a couple of years earlier, finishing second and finishing third in the league and all those things. But in those particular periods, there was a lot of transition happening with the teams around us, the traditional big 4 or 5, right? And so we were a team that was knocking on the door, getting to the Champions League final. It then became that kind of reset, and we couldn't back it up. We could have done better backing it up than we did, but we couldn't have backed it up the way that everyone thought we should have done, in my opinion.
We did spend a lot of money that summer. We obviously hadn't bought anyone for 2 windows, but then we bought Ndombele for 54 million plus add-ons. We bought the Celso. We paid 15 million loan fee for the Celso so that Real Sociedad could get away with not paying PSG so much. And then we paid another 29 million for his transfer in the January or March or whenever it was. Yeah. So 40 odd million for him. We paid 25 for Sessegnon, who's looking like a world beater again at Fulham, obviously. And we paid 10 million for Jack Clark, who,
shocking.
Obviously we got rid of
a lot of money, got nowhere with it.
We did spend money. And then we bought Berghvall in the January when we could have bought Jared Bowen. We were heavily linked with Jared Bowen for the previous 2 or 3 windows, I seem to remember. And obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Berghvall had a great debut, and then COVID hit. And COVID obviously damaged a lot of clubs. But bear in mind, we pulled all this money into the stadium. We need that income to keep going, and to lose over the season. I know all the clubs did, but it really affected us because we just geared up for it. It's just a bit like taking out a brand new mortgage and losing your job effectively, isn't it? You've got to find some way of paying it. And I think, and it did affect loads of clubs, but that's such a big part of it. We don't know where that would have gone. Now, the problem is the majority of those players, definitely Zacerso and Ndombele, were players that supposedly Poch wanted. Supposedly we were going to buy Bruno Fernandes. Now, what you think about Bruno Fernandes is another matter. He's a good player. He has his moments where he's
great player,
a bit of a twat,
a bit of an idiot,
and throws strops. But you look at what he's done for that team. He's the main man of that club. He has scored so many goals, created so many goals. He would have done a good job. Obviously, we went and got Jedson Fernandes on loan. Was that the January before?
Yeah, when did we get Jedson? Yeah, no, when we wanted.
No, it was under Mourinho. It was that January. We didn't get him. Supposedly we had a deal. We could have done it in the summer, but for some reason we didn't do it. And that was down to him wanting Ndombele, who looked good in the Champions League, but that showed we hadn't done our research. Yeah. Because if we'd really done our research, we'd have surely known that was a player who had.
I think our recruitment is has been so bad. I think it's got better. It's still not fantastic. But I think a lot of that, there's also like these kind of considerations. I think people think it's like it's easy and simple when in order to compete, when you're knocking on that door, but you don't have the draw. When we signed, I forget who it was. We were on the cusp of signing Luis Diaz, right, in January. We were about to sign him
instead, didn't we?
Got Kulusevski instead. And don't get me wrong, I like Kulusevski, but they're different player to Luis Diaz, right? And all Liverpool have to do is pick up the phone. Oh, you're going to go to Tottenham, are you? No. Come to us.
To be fair, no. What happened there was Liverpool were lining him up for the summer, and his agent knew this. So when we did the deal, his agent rang Liverpool, went, Spurs are about to sign him. So if you want him, you need to come and get him. So that's why. So ultimately, it was a deal that was already in the making for Liverpool. So it wasn't like they just came and kiboshed us.
No,
That was always
I
gonna be
know,
the plan.
but I don't think that you're ever going to catch Arsenal like Arteta having to convince a player to go there. I don't think that Manchester United are ever going to have, or actually they probably do these days, but like Liverpool, City, like even Chelsea to a degree. And a lot of that is because of fraudulent activity, lying, deceit, FFP breaks or whatever. Roman Abramovich, the sheikhs in Man City, success under that has been achieved under illegitimate mechanisms, in my opinion. The weight of that success bleeds over into the future. So it's not just about the isolated moment of, did you break the rules that season? Like that success that comes from the cheating that you may or may not have participated in, that only then is getting, called out 10 years later and the 15 years later in the case of Manchester City. All of that stuff, like the byproduct negatives that come to everybody else, because that team now has a brand that is forged in iron or forged in stone, whatever the phrase is. As a consequence of rule breaking, the victims of that are the other teams that don't have the same ability to draw. Would Matisse Tell have to have had a phone call from Arne Slot? Would Matisse Tell would he have had to have had a phone call from Pep Guardiola? Of course not. But he had to have one from Ange Postecoglou, right?
If we were top of the league, though, wouldVaj had to do that? Probably not. And that's
I
where
think
Liverpool are. So
I don't know. I think maybe. I think maybe. Maybe not. Maybe not. Definitely not as much. But I don't think Tottenham. If Tottenham finished fourth last season or third last season, I still think that there'd be, and we were like 8th or 7th or 6th at the time in January. I still think that Tottenham are not the draw because we don't win the trophies, and the trophies, that the distribution of trophies goes too few and far between. In no small part because the biggest problem in my mind, I know loads of you think it's Daniel Levy, and maybe it is in the club. That's up for debate. But externally, I think the biggest problem in football has been, always will be the financial makeup of who gets the money, who goes where, and then also the inability to set rules that are not ironclad. Because in not having that ability, you've maintained this, like the emperor wears clothes, makeup of competition, and it really doesn't. It doesn't sort of behoove anyone else being able to compete for the very best. And if you are that team that's always knocking on the door of the best of the rest, but every time that you want to go and get a player, that one of those teams that are above you are also going after, which is what you need to do in order to be able to compete with the best. You need to be able to get the best players in. And every time you need a striker, one of those other teams are going to need a striker. Every time you need a right back, one of those other teams are going to need a right back. And if you haven't got the ability to sell your likelihood of winning trophies, then you're always going to have to go to the second tier of talent. And that to me is a problem that started and will continue to be a problem caused by the financial impropriety of the league. So I will always maintain that financial impact is the biggest problem in football, and it makes the league boring. It makes it so boring to me.
where do we go? That's the problem.
Well, you either, if you can't beat them, join them, or you convince Daniel Levy to grow a pair and become more ambitious and have a better risk appetite, or you hope that your talent ID becomes more effective than it has been in the past. And I think we're making movements towards that. I think also you have to have this conveyor belt of talent in the youth system, which again, we're at the early stages of seeing those green shoots to get there. But it needs to be like a well-rounded kind of, 360 holistic viewpoint. Yeah. And unfortunately, I just think that there's a little bit too much in the way of distractions for Daniel Levy, and he doesn't trust enough of other people to do the things. He doesn't have faith that anyone else can do the little bits. And that is problematic. It is problematic. And
is this why he's brought Vinay in, the new CEO, the guy who was at Arsenal? Supposedly, so that obviously we know his degree was in land management, wasn't it? I think Daniel's, and the whole point is they're trying to develop the whole of Tottenham. They've got the flats going in, the hotel going in, the whole high road, and the walkway down to the station. They want to develop. So if Daniel can step away from the club. Yeah, and just be the executive chairman and let Vinay run it. But the problem is still, like we talked about this last week, it's still the cash flow. We don't have the cash because Joe Lewis's family aren't going to put 300
Putting more
million
in.
in. I know that you're restricted to a certain degree what you can do. You can do it as investment as they did with the 100 million or the 30 million they
Yeah.
did in December.
You can put money in and
But
dilute,
yeah,
or you can move money around on the paper accounts like we've
well,
spoken about
all
Chelsea a
that
thousand
money
times.
on the show you did with Johnny, was that yesterday? About all the
Yeah.
hidden money and all the different subsidiary companies we've got.
Yeah, it's 260 million quid in the books that is not accounted for. But I don't know. I don't want that to be taken out of context because I was just reading it and I was like, wow.
Mm.
And it's also not just a Tottenham thing; it's a thing across the all the
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
clubs. So if Tottenham needs to do more in that regard, then you can make the argument that everyone else can as well. So I don't want that to be taken out of context. I don't know I don't know it specifically. I'll look into it in more detail. But let me ask this, mate. We'll finish off in a little while. I won't take up too much more of your time or anybody else's tonight. But how much if Daniel Levy works 10 hours a day, Monday to Friday, how many of those hours do you think is him in meetings that are specifically related to Tottenham Hotspur, the football club that we care about, versus the things that you just mentioned? Redevelopment of the
Wow.
tunnel, all like the
I mean,
golf course, the hotel, the new training ground, medical department, all of those things that are somewhat related, but also, distractions. Is it
yeah, I mean,
20%, 50%, 100%? What do you reckon?
what I do know is his wife thinks he works too much. He'll be out. There was I think a story from one of the windows where a deal was done at 3 o'clock in the morning. I think it might be in the January deadline or something or near then. Deal was done at 3 o'clock in the morning. We got home at 3 o'clock in the morning because the deal was done. And it was his wife's birthday, and he was back out the door at 7 in the morning to go back to Lily White House or to the training ground. He does work hard for the
I'm
club.
sure he works 12 hours a day. Like, I've
Um,
got no doubt about his work
what
ethic. It's just what's he working on most of the
Yeah,
time is my
no,
question.
I agree, and I'd much rather he had as little to do with the football side of it as possible, and hopefully that. I think the idea with Scott Munn was this, but it doesn't appear to have worked.
We've never heard a
So
thing from that guy. He's been
I
at the
think he's
club
given one
2
interview,
years,
hasn't he?
and we have never. Is it one interview on Optus Sport
Yeah,
when he first
yeah,
came in?
yeah, yeah.
Chief
It's
football
a strange,
officer.
it's a
We've
real
never
strange
heard
one.
diddly fucking squat from that guy. Like, it's
No,
outrageous, if I'm honest. That's outrageous. Not many
no,
people talk about that. People that are in the Levy Outs camp, that's another thing that you should add that to your list of sticks to bash. Daniel Levy with. Don't add some boxer playing North London Forever. Don't add that. That's ridiculous. What did you make of the North London Forever thing? Did you think that was like the boxer playing the song? Was that like a big nothing burger to you, or did you think it was
I
horrendous?
sort of caught it afterwards. By which point I was told that the Spurs fan had bashed the crap out of him. So it was.
Yeah,
I did. Did you see Majestic's little video about it? Because Majestic was DJing and he refused to DJ, so walked off and filmed it. And
really.
then he made sure he played "Glory, Glory, Tottenham Hotspur" afterwards. He
Oh,
also
that was his
played.
call, was it? That was his call.
Yeah, he also played
Ah,
"Can't
that's
Smile
clever.
Without Me."
That's clever. That's clever.
He
Because I
said,
was going to say
I'm
there
playing all the
was
Spurs
no
music.
one, there was no other fight that had, as far as I'm aware, that as soon as the winner was called, that had a song that belted out immediately. That was like a boxer choice. So when I heard that, I was like, someone somewhere is DJing that. That's a Tottenham fan. That's keeping everything square. But
Yeah,
I didn't think it was a big deal, mate. I was like, come on. Like, there's a million
I,
things you can be upset about. Is this really the hill to die on? And a lot of people think it is. And I don't get it, to be
I
honest.
think your response of if the whole gig was like down to that one song and we're going to make £1 million or whatever it is out of the thing, just get on with it. For what was it,
Like, what are we
about a
doing here?
minute?
Yeah.
I'm not really that bothered in the grand scheme of things. And what made it great was that the guy got absolutely smashed. A friend of mine
Yeah.
got a message from an Arsenal fan today about it, laughing. He went, "You do realize the Spurs fan beat the crap out of him?" Went, "Oh,"
Yeah.
and didn't respond after that.
Yeah, but you know what? But like, even those that are kind of like saying it's irrelevant because the Tottenham fan won, like the argument is more around it should never have happened in the first place. Therefore, the result being in Tottenham's favour is kind of irrelevant. If like you're either okay with it on paper or in principle, or you're not. And I'm like, I don't think that a football club that's lending their stadium to a boxing event, that's all you're doing really, is leasing the rights to your stadium for a couple of hours. That if you start like putting conditions in the contract that no one can do this and that, then I don't know, like I don't know. It's like your stepmother telling you how to behave. Like, nah, you don't get to say that. My mum gets to tell me that. You're my stepmom does. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you kind of like know your role here. You're just a lead. You're just a vent. Like, you're just a stadium partner.
Yeah.
You're not really. This isn't really your thing. You know. So I don't know. I find the whole thing a
So
little bit
some
silly.
people get upset by things like that straight away, and some people don't. I think it depends on you as a person and as an individual to a certain degree. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me that much in the grand scheme of things. I
Yeah.
think there's other things to worry about, like the state of our team at the moment and our manager and what we're going to do when Daniel said that we haven't got a lot of money to spend this summer, and that worries me more.
Well, I'm going to do more digging on that MCO Insights thing and find out where the truth lies, and I'll bring it to you guys here on the Spurs Talk Show. Make sure you smash the. You haven't put your link in the private chat
I
for me,
thought I
John.
did it on my phone, but it didn't quite
Didn't
work. I'll
come
try
through,
and get
mate.
it up here without
If you could,
YouTube. Yeah.
I'll get it for you. Let me whilst I'm doing that, mate. Let me ask you this. Let me know the your starting 11 for Thursday night, buddy.
Oh, starting 11. Vicario is going to be Porro because he didn't play today. Now, Udogie, I would have Spence there, but Udogie's played well in the previous two games, so probably Udogie. And obviously the centre back picked themselves. I was interested that Berghvall basically played the whole game today because I'd have him on there. Berghvall, Bentancur will start because he's been rested today, and it probably have Maddison ahead of Kulu in the midfield because Kulu obviously he's been injured, but he hasn't shown anything really, has he, since he's come back? It is tough for players to come back from injury and to hit the ground running. I think it's going to be Tell on the left wing, unless Son's. Do we think Son's back?
Nah, he's not back yet.
Do you not think that? So Tell on the, and it's really down to the right wing. Does he
That's
go
that's
Odebear again?
basically it, isn't it? It's basically it. It's the
Yeah,
right wing spot.
I thought Odebear looks all right for that sort of the first half at against Forest. He certainly made a difference.
But Brennan
Johnson
Johnson's
played the
got
whole
you
90,
goals.
didn't he?
Johnson's got you goals, right? Johnson can get you goals
John,
if you go down that one side. If you only go down the left hand side, then Johnson's better at the back post than anybody else is. But
Johnson scored 4 goals since Christmas, since the New Year's, and they were against Ipswich and Southampton. That's the only thing.
oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I
I'm
forgot
sure
that.
that's right. Correct me if I'm wrong,
It
but from
probably is
memory, he
right.
scored the
Probably
2
is
against
right.
Southampton, 2 against
On that
Ipswich.
basis, then, is there any like if we're thinking about output, does Richarlison deserve a nod ahead of? I mean, Solanke's header today was fantastic, but Richarlison, when he plays, he does usually score. But I think that's more down to the way that the team. I said this earlier. I think it's the way that the team sets up. I think that you have to bake in that context that when Solanke's on the pitch, he's asked to do things that Richarlison isn't because the team know that Richarlison isn't competent at holding the ball up and his first touch and his passing, all those things that Solanke is miles better than him at. As a consequence of that being the reality, I think that Dominic Solanke's asked to be the sacrificial lamb in Angie's system, and Richarlison isn't. When Richarlison's on the pitch, the team knows if you want to find Richarlison, he will be in the box, put it in the air, and you give him enough chances, eventually he'll score. Whereas Solanke does so much for the team that by the time that the ball gets into the box, he's often not there. You know, and that's why there's more distribution to goals that goes to other players like Sonny, Brennan Johnson, or Maddison, Decky, whatever else, right? So I think that this line in the sand of like, well, Richarlison's better than Solanke because it's all about output. I think people just lack that critical thinking of being able to join up the dots of what it is that one person's asked to do versus the other.
Yeah, I mean, Richie has got a knack of getting a goal, hasn't he? But he's made of sticks, isn't he? He's matchsticks. He just breaks. So they've got to be really careful with him because he'll just get injured again. The trouble is in January, February, Sankey got injured, didn't he? Richie was just coming back and he had to play pretty much every game, and that's the problem. And then he broke again. So they are managing him. I probably would start with Solanke, but you know that Richie will give you half an hour or so. Now, if we can get 2 or 3 goals up, maybe we'll make that change, or Richie will play the away leg. But
I'd rather see him come on in the second half, like get 2 up, change it up, and then Rishi can come in and nick a third or something like that, But I don't have enough confidence in Richie, and I think it kind of also, like I say, I think it isolates our style of play, and it becomes. I just don't know enough about Bodo. I don't know if they're centre backs, especially now that we heard that they're missing they lost another one today. But even then, I still wouldn't be able to tell you whether they're better in the air or they're mobile. I just don't know enough about them. And I haven't done my due diligence
again,
yet.
I know nothing about Norwegian football, but I can't imagine there's as much crossing as traditionally there was in football in English football back in say the 80s. But that put a few crosses in, test them out, because that's the frustration. You know, we scored one today from a deep corner, but how many crosses do we put along the floor? No wonder we don't score that many goals.
Crosses than my 11+ exam.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Against Forest, we were putting balls in the air, and Richie had 4 headers, and eventually put the 4th one away. Because again, he's been injured. It takes time to get your rhythm going and your shooting boots on. And I think if he gets those chances, his movement's very good. I think his movement's better than Slanky in those sort of heading options.
In the area, his movement's spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think to me the only question marks are Decky or Maddison, and then Johnson or Udogie. I think everything else is sewn up, to be honest. Maybe you can make the argument Jed Spence or Udogie, but I think that's
unless he plays Decky on the wide right.
Yeah, maybe. Well, and then space for both Decky and Maddison.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I mean, again, Decky will cross the ball in the air, so that might be a Richarlison thing.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, we'll contemplate it this week.
But you're on the back of the goal today.
Yeah, Slank. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I do agree, mate. Right, buddy. Thank you so much for joining me, mate. We'll leave it there, guys. It's it's late for me. It's late for John's walked something like 800,000 miles today or something. He's never met a man who walks as much. And
32,900 steps I've done today.
Congratulations, mate. That's more than I've done in probably over a week. Let's find out. Guys, we'll leave it there. I'll see you tomorrow with Johnny H. We'll sort of do more of the same, bit of analysis, bit of breakdown, whatever the transfer news, views and clues are. If you're lucky, you might also see some sort of update in the world of Bugsy Malone and doing a walk and talk. John, anything coming up, mate? Thanks so much for coming on. Anything coming up? Just quickly, Nikos. No, not tonight, mate. I'm too tired, buddy. I'm too tired, frustrated, worn out. But I'll bring back the conspiracy theory content on Sean Butler TV next week. And I'll talk more about what went on Thursday in Bodo. Oh, no, that'll be the week after. John, what's coming up?
I want you to do one of those little stories when you're out there. Loads of little clips and stuff. And
yeah, I'll put a vlog. Yeah, okay.
Little vlog.
I don't know if they'll allow cameras in the sauna.
In the massage parlor.
We shall see. I've been the old secret camera in my lapel. What's coming up on Lads? It's Tottenham, mate. When are you streaming next?
Gibbo and Davo do their Tuesday night grumpy old Spurs, 7:00 normally, so they should be around. We struggled to get a lot of the shows out. Everyone's so busy a lot of the time. So we traditionally we did Monday and Fridays at 9, but that sort of the Friday show seems to have disappeared, and the Mondays moved to Tuesday. Oh, it might be 8:00 now because Davo's down in Sydney, so due to the clock change, I think they do 8 p.m. UK time, and they get their sort of hour of grumpiness and jokes out. And I'm sure after Liverpool there'll be a bit of grumpiness, and they'll look forward to Bodo Glimt. And yeah, it's always a good fun show, so check it out. Just search Lads It's Tottenham. And the Cheese Room audio pod, we're not doing an audio tonight, but I think we're going to probably try and get one out as a preview. I don't think people want to talk about Liverpool much more, but they'll try and preview the Bodo Glimt game. Yeah,
perfect, mate. Perfect. Guys, I want to say massive thank you for joining us today. I'm putting out as much content as I can squeeze out because I owe you guys so many months of no content over the last year. Apologies about that again. Thank you very much to Moondog, and massive thank you again also for the very generous Blaine. Love you guys. You'll see me tomorrow. And there was something else I wanted to finish off with. Oh yeah, congratulations, Red Rebellion, mate. Well done to Liverpool. As much as I despise Liverpool generally, individual fans I obviously have no issue with, and congratulations, mate. Well done to you guys today, and I can't wait hopefully to feel what you guys felt this afternoon in Bilbao, and I can't wait to see which brass is going to feel what I've got to offer on the Friday night in Bilbao. I'm joking. Ladies and gentlemen, like, subscribe and comment. Get over to Spurs, get over to Lads It's Tottenham, and I'll see you tomorrow. And as always, cheers, Johnny.